Alleluia, 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 Alleluia. Blessed are you, O Virgin Mary, for your firm believing that the promises of the Lord would be fulfilled. Alleluia, Alleluia, Alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Mary set out and went with haste to a Judean town in the hill country, where she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the child leapt in her womb. And Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit and exclaimed with a loud cry, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And why has this happened to me, that the mother of my Lord comes to me? For as soon as I heard the sound of your greeting, the child in my womb leapt for joy. And blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord." And Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on all generations will call me blessed, for the Almighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. The Lord's mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. The Lord has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever." And Mary remained with Elizabeth about 3 months, and then returned to her home. The Gospel of the Lord. Where is it? The Gospel presented by Dwight. And so maybe we could pray for the intercession of St. Anthony. I've lost my tripod, and so we have this here for filming for the YouTube channel, but I lent it to somebody for a funeral yesterday, and it seems to have disappeared in our midst, so maybe we'll find it soon. If not, that's okay. But as we read today the story of the Visitation, this beautiful story, what's striking is how Mary set out and went with haste. That's what stood out today for me. She went out with haste to visit her cousin Elizabeth. There's kind of a speed in her step, if you want. That's what the text evokes a little bit. And so we can ask ourselves, well, why is that? Why did she go out with haste? I think we often read these stories, especially the infancy narratives in the Bible, as a kind of matter of fact. This is the stuff that happens. Everything seems to be perfect and falling into place nicely. Not much of a fuss or anything like that. It just seems very well organized, well written. But we don't realize sometimes that Mary and Elizabeth were also human beings with all the emotions and thoughts that come with that. And Mary, upon being visited by the angel Gabriel and being told she's pregnant, maybe at the back of her mind there's a lot of stuff going on, right? She might be thinking of all kinds of things, maybe even all kinds of catastrophes, if you want. What about Joseph? I'm not even married. What are my parents going to think? Anne and Joachim, what are they going to think? I'm in deep trouble. And she could be in deep trouble, actually. Being pregnant and out of wedlock at that time, she would have been stoned for that. Someone would have gotten stoned for that. And what about her cousin Elizabeth? She's much older, she's now expecting, and that's risky even nowadays in 21st century medicine to be pregnant at a very old age. And then, well, her own pregnancy, right? Morning sickness, cravings. I mean, I don't know if that was like that back then, anyway, all these things might be going on in her head, but yet she sets out with haste to see her cousin Elizabeth. You see, Mary could have dwelt with these things in the back of her mind. All of these what ifs and these scenarios. She could have just kind of stayed home and dwelt with that and worried about it. But Mary realized that the Lord had a calling in her life, that he had given her a mission in life. And nothing could stop her from fulfilling that calling. No worries, no fears, not even rough terrain for the hill country. You read carefully, it says she set out with haste to a Judean town in a hill country. And that's walking. We're not talking about cars and stuff like that. That's maybe a couple of horses, but still, that's rough terrain for someone who's pregnant. Mary was completely turned away from her own worries, her own self, and focused on God and focused on fulfilling her calling. That calling ultimately led her to great joy, even to the joy we can feel when reading this text of John the Baptist leaping for joy in Elizabeth's womb when encountering Mary pregnant with Jesus. There's lots of joy in this. This is almost a hymn to joy, the Magnificat that was proclaimed. I almost made mistakes. It's the breviary that I pray. It's written slightly differently, so sometimes I'm tempted to say what I say every day, but in the Bible it's written a little bit differently. But my soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God, my Savior. There's a lot of joy. And so I think this haste of Mary is a really good lesson for us for two reasons. If Mary goes with haste to help her cousin Elizabeth, who's in need, how much more does she go with haste to help all of her children, to help all of us who are her children? She is our mother. We celebrated last week Mary, Mother of the Church. How much more with haste does she come to our help, to our aid, in our own need, with a quick step? And Mary has not slowed down in her step, even being in heaven with the Lord. In her haste to help us, she has not slowed down. But I think this haste is an important lesson for us too, who are here and just trying to figure out what God wants for us, what God wants us to do in our lives. What next step he wants us to take? What is his mission in our lives? When Mary figured that out, when she was told that, she was laser focused on fulfilling that mission. I'm thinking too, there's a school back there, I think a bunch of grade 8s, right? And so you guys are in that, trying to figure out, well, what's my calling in life? I mean, this is what Mary was about 14 years old, and when these things happened. And so I think some of you might be 14, I'm not sure, but so these questions are happening in your minds right now, I would assume. Now, I heard it expressed in this way before when we're trying to figure it out. It's to find your itch. It's summertime, mosquitoes are out. When you get bitten by a mosquito, it itches. It's annoying. You just want to scratch it. And so I think that's a good thing to ponder and pray about. What is that itch in your life? What injustice do you see in the world? What do you see that could be done better in our world today? That's an itch, a passion, right? And answering that call is to scratch it. We need to scratch that itch. But so often we drag our feet. We have our calling, we have our mission, but we say, that doesn't make enough money. I don't want that, or what will my friends think? Or what will my parents think? Don't worry, I've been there. I've had those same thoughts, dragging my feet. I think I knew the Lord was calling me to the priesthood, and people around me knew it as well, but it took me a while to say I was the perpetual discerner before going to the seminary. But I think some people know that. Sometimes we drag our feet. Mary might have had those thoughts of dragging her feet, but she did not let them. She did not let She did not let those thoughts, those worries, drag her feet. She went with haste. And so through Mary's intercession today, may we always answer God's calling with haste. So I'm going to end with this. My homily is already really long, but I invite you to reread the first reading, but I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to reread it a little bit. Beloved, let love be genuine. Hate what is evil with haste. Hold fast to what is good with haste. Love one another with mutual affection with haste. Outdo one another in showing honor with haste.